Mohammed Badri, loyal fan of the show. Thanks for watching. He says, it sounds like the Broncos aren't sold on Locke. I was wrong. He is actively looking for another quarterback. Now, it's funny that Mohammed mentions this because this is exactly where I was going to go with my prediction. And I
You
feel
read your
like
show notes.
he probably did. So it's a little bit scary that Mohammed brings up the point because this was going to be my prediction to you, Rich. I was going to say that I think that Peyton is going to find a way to deal Drew Lock. And as much as I hate saying that, it kind of feels like it's going to happen because you saw it happen. He tried to deal Drew Lock to the Lions, or if not him, then the Lions wanted Drew Lock. Either way, Drew Lock's name was mentioned in that trade talk. So to me, it kind of pisses me off knowing that he's not fully sold. And I'm pretty sure as time goes on, he might get other people to join that bandwagon in terms of not believing in Drew Lock and finding somebody that's not a free agent. So if this whole thing with Deshaun Watson goes, catches on fire, and these rumors about him being quote unquote interested in coming to Denver, and the Broncos offering up a king's ransom to get Deshaun Watson to Denver, I'm sorry, man. I just don't think that's the way to go.
Well, I agree. I also think we haven't done Drew Lock a ton of favors either in his short time here in Denver. So, as an example, if there was rumors that we wanted Scangarello to come here well before he was even signed. In fact, there was a period of time where Scangarello was mentioned by Denver and Denver, media and what have you. And as a Canadian, I follow Denver media eerily closely, considering I'm north of the border and the whole deal. But basically, as it pertains to Scangarello, you already knew what kind of offense he ran, so you knew that he wanted kind of that Shanahan-esque little kind of shift in movements and that kind of stuff. And we saw a lot of the guard pulls and all that kind of stuff in the Shanahan or in the Scangarello offense, rather, in terms of the run game and that sort of thing. Not to the same kind of look and feel as what it looks like when right now we're running very close to like a Munchak run offense. That's where you're seeing the guard kind of sweep around. Mm-hmm. That's a Munchak style, but this, they're very similar. Like, it's very hard. Like, you can like almost interchange them. They're very, very similar skill sets. But the thing is, we knew what we were trying to accomplish. We knew what we were trying to go and get. And then there's rumors of Elway actually wanting Shanahan in Denver as a head coach. So we kind of knew what we were looking for. And this is kind of one of the big issues that we have as a Denver team is we need to know what we want to run. And then we need to draft and build accordingly. And the challenge that we've had for the last several years is we don't truly have an identity. We seem to be really good at running the ball every once in a while when we decide to run properly and focus on it, but we don't seem to do it with gusto and with a real confidence. And when I said that Elway hadn't really focused on the O-line, that's really what I was meaning. Is if you're going to be a run-first offensive team, then that's cool. In fact, that's what I think we should be, because I think that's the best counter to someone like Patrick Mahomes in these pass-happy offenses. I don't think we're built that way, and I don't think the altitude lends us to be like that. I think we're better off grinding these teams down because we have those 8 home games a year. I think that works to our advantage from a conditioning perspective. Mm-hmm. So I would like us to go for the road grader styles, like the guys that are kind of like the big guys that can move. And I think more and more what you're seeing from these college offensive linemen is you're seeing these 340-pound behemoths. I don't know what else to call some of these guys. They're mammoth. And you're seeing these guys move at a rate that we've never seen from these offensive linemen before. And we can't just continuously discount size and immediately say, oh, that means they're slow. Because that's not true. When you're looking at some of these guys that are just enormous men, they're moving quick. And we need to focus on guys like that because they can move people out the way, and that helps in the run game. And then the run game can then turn into a passing attack, can also then turn into play action and some other things. So I think we need to own our offensive identity. And until we do that, I don't think we're going to do very well. And and that's where I think we need to move as a direction as a team. And that's why I'm saying I don't think we've done Drew Lock any favors. We've flip-flopped on our offensive identity 3, 4, 5 times since he's been here. I don't think it's helped him, but I also don't think Drew Lock has helped himself either.
Jerry Holland, thanks for watching the show. He says, I'm leaning towards Peyton's aggressive moves being down rather than up in the draft. What are you guys feeling? Now, this is something that's also been talked about on social media in a lot of Broncos. I don't know if it's the term websites or just anywhere that's talking Broncos. And if it can be said that if George Paton does not feel confident about whoever he's targeting in the 9th selection, he could decide to dumb down and maybe pick up another pick towards the, let's say, end of the first round and, maybe go back-to-back picks. Kind of like what Elway did when he got Drew Lock and Dalton Reisner. He had to wait until the second round, but at the same time, you're not always going to get that lucky. You're not always going to be able to get your selected players back to back. And take it. And this is coming from somebody who, when I play Madden and I do the draft, and the people I have on my board, they don't fall when it's my time to pick, and it utterly frustrates me. So, if he does dumb down, it'd be a risk. Because then if whatever picks he makes doesn't work out in the 2021 season, then obviously that's going to blow back on him. But one advantage that I think he has is he is taking consideration what John Elway's input and maybe even Vic Fangio's input. So if he can take in their consideration and input on certain players or whatever choices he has, and he can corroborate with it instead of him just kind of, putting himself in the room and not listening to anybody's input and doing whatever he feels is right, then I think that selection will help the Broncos go along further, whether they decide to go in the 9th round or, move on down and, get another pick or so.
Well, first off, I think we need to go back and we need to just take a few steps backwards in this whole process. So free agency comes before the draft. And I think we need to first and foremost look at what we're seeing right now. And what we're seeing right now is effectively free agency style moves, which is, where is our team at? And at 5-11, we need to be honest with ourselves. We're not stellar. Okay. You don't get to 5-11 by being a quarterback away from winning, right? Now, I do think that there is a lot to be said for some of the comments that I'm seeing, Mr. Boggins being one of them, as well as, a few others, saying that, yeah, when you get yourself a franchise quarterback, though, like a legit franchise quarterback, like a Deshaun Watson or someone like that, it certainly does put you in a much better position where you can start saying, well, there's a bit of a force multiplier with regards to those people, to kind of steal an Eric Mangini term, which is, you get a guy that's that good, and then all of a sudden free agents want to come to your team, and they'll come to your team because you have a franchise quarterback and because that really, really important position is taken care of. It's just a natural boost for your team when you have, look what we got with Peyton Manning. Do you honestly think that Aqib Talib came to Denver because John Elway said, pretty please? No. He came to Denver because, just like Wes Welker and some of these other free agents that came to Denver, they said, you have the sheriff. I'm following that guy. And I think Deshaun Watson can be a similar player for us in terms of that kind of attraction for these free agents to say, do you know what? I'm willing to take a spread out deal over maybe a fixed 3-year period to make it cap friendly, because I also know that 3 other really good free agents want to come here because of Deshaun Watson as well. And these players are willing to work together to play on a team that has that kind of talent, that has that kind of vision, that's willing to make those type of moves. So I'd like to see maybe like what Boggins just said in the chat there, if you can maybe his piece of trading back, which is yeah, exactly. You can trade back in the first round. You can finagle something like that. The other option is to actually own an offensive identity and a defensive identity, which I think Fangio's basically already solidified in Denver. So I don't think you have to worry too much about that. But if you own and can land on an offensive identity, you can start drafting your offensive players accordingly to put yourself in better opportunities, rather than Elway's draft was basically, I want to become Kansas City and I want to throw the ball all the way down the field and go crazy and wild. We don't have the players to hold up and pass pro to get players that deep, and then Locke was missing those throws. So I think a Deshaun Watson, if we were to pull something what Boggin said there, that would potentially work. I think 3 firsts for a player, while you'll cringe as the trade's being made, because you're going to say, man, think of what we just gave up. I do think getting that franchise quarterback, that guy that can really, really hit the ball at the park, unbelievable. We saw what happened with Manning. He had an absolute hot garbage offensive line. No offense to those players. Some of those were not spectacular, and some of them, you saw what happened when we went from Manning to Simeon. We went from a winning record to barely a winning record, and then it went downhill from there.